Unity Coalition, Coalición Unida, está con el pueblo cubano.
El mundo está mirando. Everyone deserves freedom.
We pray for a free Cuba. Oramos por una Cuba libre.
El mundo está rezando por ustedes. The world is praying for you.
Fuerza y H para el espíritu Bambice. Está en los hombros de muchos héroes y ustedes son los héroes de esta generación. Luchen por su libertad. Hola a nuestros hermanos en Cuba. Los apoyamos y estamos con ustedes para la libertad, para nuestros hermanos y hermanas. We want freedom for Cuba and we stand with our brothers and sisters in Miami. Freedom is a right for all. United with the Cuban people.
The world is with you. El mundo está con ustedes y van a lograr la libertad. This is the moment. Este es el momento de Cuba y Cuba va a estar libre.
No hay patria sin vida, ni vida sin libertad. La libertad que la dictadura castrista le quita al pueblo de Cuba todos los días. Abajo la dictadura. Libertad para Cuba. La ciudad de Miami Beach está con nuestros hermanos cubanos. Libertad para Cuba.
Para nuestros hermanos cubanos, porque merecen una mejor calidad de vida y que sean felices. ¡Viva Cuba!
Desde Colombia, nuestro corazón está con el pueblo cubano.
Our Miami LGBTQ community is with you.
La comunidad LGBTQ en Miami está con ustedes, enseñándole cualquier apoyo que necesiten en la isla. Es tiempo ya.
My Cubans in the island, I want to wish you all my support. Mis cubanos en la isla, yo quiero desear a ustedes todo mi respaldo.
Cuba, we stand with you in your fight for freedom and we will support you until the end. We're in this together.
Everyone deserves freedom. Todo el mundo merece la libertad.
Basta! Enough! Enough of oppression! Enough of hunger! Cuba must be free now!
Hello everybody, how is everyone doing at home today? My name is Regina, but you may also know me as Imperium the First, and if you're seeing this beautiful face, that means you're watching Unity Coalition Television. Today I have a very exciting episode prepared, and it is how to make an artist. First and foremost, I want to thank our sponsor Gilead for this amazing sponsorship that they have for us. I will be joined by Matias Poro and Luna Scar today when we discuss the ins and outs of being an artist, distribution, copywriting, and everything in between. I had a really fun time with them. I also want to personally thank them for being on our show. And I'm just going to jump right to it. Have fun. Today with me, I have guest star Matias Poro to my left and Luna Scar to my right. I'm very excited to be discussing how to make an artist today, and it's going to be a riveting little table talk. Matias, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. And Luna, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I love to hear it.
Love.
So, welcome in. We're in UCTV today. You know, we're talking to all of the community who tunes in every week or so to keep up with our little tidbits of information. So tell me something. How is your process of music? Because I know that all of us here have like different distributors and all that stuff. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
What do you mean, like the creative process or the distribution process?
So right now we'll be talking about how to put music out there.
So I am signed to AWOL, which is a British distributor, if I'm not wrong. They're based in London, and what I have to do is make sure everything's copyrighted, make sure everything's published, and then fill all of that out. That goes into review from my AWOL team, so that goes to England and gets reviewed, and then within a couple of days they get approved or denied. If they get denied, I have to make changes and fill out the correct paperwork. But it usually takes a couple of days to get to hear back from them.
Cool.
And then they take care of the rest.
The distribution part of the process is basically, I have my song, I put it on my distributor site, and these are the people that put your song out in all streaming platforms. Luna, you use what?
I use DistroKid.
Oh, okay, so do I. Great.
Yeah. So DistroKid, basically, you pay for this you pay for a yearly membership, and everything's very independent. So once you have your song out, same thing as you were saying, upload it up. And at that point, you just have to put your cover art, you can edit the lyrics, that way you can have it synced for like Instagram stories, Apple Music, whatever it may be. Then you get your payout and whatnot, and they handle all the paperwork in regards to like how you get paid and whatnot, so a lot of the work doesn't fall on me, which I think is really convenient.
For real?
Super convenient.
Oh, one of my favorite features of Distro. So in the distributor site, you can also add lyrics as well to your song. One of the cool little features is, for example, on Apple Music, you have the lyrics that go with the. I don't know how you say that.
It goes on the page where you have the song, like on the same player.
Right,
yeah.
and the cool thing is that you're the one who syncs your own music and your own lyrics.
Wait, but do you have to do that on Distro or on Music Match?
On
I do that on Distro, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super tedious. You gotta listen through the whole song and like click through every time like the line changes.
I'll tell you, I think for Siren Song, that's the one I know. Gemini. I struggle most with Gemini. I was like,
send it up, so it goes through AWOL, and then whenever that's already uploaded to the system, I go to Music Match, which is a separate entity, and then I have to sync it through there, and that takes a couple extra days.
So does Music Match collab with AWOL? Like, is that just a separate?
It's just a separate entity. It's just that it makes sure that whenever you go on Instagram, for example, the lyrics are correctly matched up.
Oh yeah, I love that.
When you go on the tempo and stuff.
Yeah. See, on Distro, it automatically will submit your stuff to Music Match. So like when you Google a song and you Google XYZ song lyrics, bam, that's what comes up.
Yeah.
It'll come up the Music Match. And DistroKid will do that for us. So.
I can't tell you. And the only thing that I find very interesting is that you submit the lyrics and then you wait a week, and that's when you do sync lyrics.
Right.
Which.
You gotta wait for it to process. It's a lot of patience.
Yes, it is. The thing about submitting music to different stores is you have to make sure that you follow through with the process. Another huge thing is copywriting, which I know that AWOL does for you with the paperwork that you sign, right?
They do publishing, but not the copywriting. I have to do the copywriting on my own.
Oh, okay, so you're just the rest of us over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me just make sure. I started with DistroKid. I just switched to AWOL.
Oh, I see. So you're an abandoner.
And I still have a Distro account, so.
Okay, another interesting topic in the terms of all this like Distro AWOL thing. We've submitted collaborations and through Distro, so that's been like a very complicated process I've come to learn. Because the moment that let's say for a really good example was Lucky Motherfucker, our song.
Yeah.
Actually, we did that song Lucky Motherfucker for all of us. If you want to stream Lucky Motherfucker, all of us are singing that song. It's very cool, and the music video is kind of dope actually.
Yeah.
My old office. But the submitting the collaborations is very interesting because I think you submitted it first through AWOL.
I did.
And then afterwards, you allowed me to put it on my album, which is very generous of you. And I submitted it through DistroKid to be on my album with the ISRC code, which is just basically like a social security for songs. And then you couldn't see it on your.
So what happens is that on AWOL. So when you put up the songs for distribution, you have to fill out the primary artist. So on AWOL, you are allowed to have more than one primary artist. So if I have a song with them, I can share their song, the song with them. So it'll be in my profile, your profile, and your profile, which is not the case that we did for Lucky Motherfucker, but it is the case that we did for Someone Happy.
Yes.
So that's called a dual release, which will be in both of our profiles.
Right, exactly.
But when it comes to distro, what happened is when we switched the songs to putting in your album, they took them out of my
because distro doesn't do multiple primary artists.
Right, no, you have to have a feature.
Right. So when I submitted it, it took it from you and
it put it in yours.
It put it in mine, exactly. So what we mean by this putting it on mine or whatnot is that we have an application which is called Spotify for Artists, where you can track how many streams and, you know, information your song is getting. And by information, I mean like who's listening, what type of audience, like all of the above that you can imagine is on that application. It's really cool, actually. I love it. You couldn't see it on your Spotify for Artists page anymore after I submitted
on the original release, I could. And then we had like an issue and it got taken down from Spotify itself, remember?
Oh my god, no, tell me more about that.
Yeah, we had an issue like after like a month of it like being released, we had an issue with this like German promoter that I used, and it got taken down from the store, and then it got put up in the stores again.
Was that Lucky or Somewhat Happy?
Somewhat Happy.
I mean, the same thing happened because I also submitted Somewhat Happy with my album as well, and I don't think you can see that anymore either.
No, not at all.
Right.
So like, Lucky Motherfucker is on my album, but I can't see the data from it anymore. So like, I don't know who listens to it. I don't know how many streams it has. I don't know anything, but like this one does.
Okay, so we've discussed a lot about the distribution process of music. Now let's talk about like the creation, the pre-creation. So I'm not even talking about production, right? I'm talking about like writing it all down on paper.
Right. There's something so satisfying about just having a pen. It feels more like real.
It feels real. Like feel very intimate.
Right.
Is the word I would like to use for that, right?
Oh, 1,000%.
Okay. Yeah, writing on paper definitely has to be my favorite way of writing down there.
1,000%.
I don't find it efficient, and I'm a slow writer.
Right.
So like, if I take 5 seconds to write a line on my notes app, I'll take 5 hours to write it on my paper.
See, I think with typing, at least for me, I usually have long nails, so that gets annoying. On top of the fact that, like, I write in cursive, so everything just flows much, much quicker. Yeah. And I like to have the physical, like, piece of it. So that I can, like, keep it, scan it, and I can do whatever I want, but I have, like, a physical embodiment of it.
You see, I like to have the paper because when I record with you, side to you back, because Matias is the one who produces my music. He's very good at it.
And the microphone is right next to the paper, so you can just hear it.
Yeah, no, that's not a good idea.
That's not a good idea.
I just like to write it, and then if I need it when I'm recording, then I'll like have a picture of it on my phone and do that. But I just like to physically have it on paper.
Right. Okay. Honestly, continuing the talk on the inspiration for lyrics, I think that writing has been one of the biggest like ways that I've vented in the past 2 years now, because I've been writing lyrics for 2 years, but it's been as of like last year where I put out my album thanks to Matias' help, and I've been able to make a lot of really cool music videos. How was the writing process, emotionally speaking, for both of you, starting with you, Luna?
I get depressed, I get really anxious, and so whenever I'm feeling down about whatever, I give myself a moment to like collect myself. Because sometimes if you write straight in the moment, it's just gibberish, ain't nothing that's gonna come out of that. Like to clear my head a little bit, and then once the feeling is still like sinking and sitting in me, then I'm like, all right, let's sit down, let's write about it. And I don't really like to edit too much for my lyrics.
Right.
Like I'm very verbose. Matthew's like called me out on this. He's been like, your lyrics are too long. Like you need to cut some stuff out. I'm like, I have a lot to say, and so like I feel like the way that I can get it out is through writing. And so I'll write everything down and. Sometimes I'll edit. Very rarely I'll do, and I'll figure out.
Very minimal edits too.
Very minimal edits, because I genuinely like what I have to say, and I want to keep my message like. I want to concise in the word. That's clearly not what's happening. But I want to keep it consistent. I want to keep it meaningful. And I feel like if you take certain parts out, it takes a lot of that nuance away.
It's funny that you say that you clear your mind, because with me, when I write, I just have like this fog in my mind, and the only way to clear out the fog, I feel like I just put a vacuum right here, is to write all that fog down in my lyrics.
See, for me, it's like if I'm like really in the thick of it, and I just want to sit in bed and cry and just stare silly. I don't have the energy to like, okay, let me try to write something. Like it's just not gonna come.
I'll tell you this. Usually, I'll like I'll start writing, feeling the fog, feeling all depressing macchiato or whatever. And as soon as I write like a really good melody in my head with some lyrics, I get a little happier. I'm like, oh wait, you know, pain, artist pain.
Right. I'm like, let me exploit my trauma and my pain and make some coins. That's what it boils down to. Let's be real. Like, obviously, you make the art because you want to express yourself and you want to create something that's meaningful that people can enjoy and like feel comfort with. But at the same time, you also have to recognize, like, at the end of the day, this is my job. And so I'm like, all right, well, at least if I'm going to be feeling all this pain and feeling sad and all this kind of stuff, at least I'm getting paid for it. So I try to look at it like that, but
I remember specifically, it was 2 years ago, around this time actually, that I wrote a poetry collection. I have written like the last of some poem pieces that I have, and I was writing a lot of lyrics as well, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm done. Because I had been writing so much poetry and lyrics and so many things for such a long time that I was like, I need to make some sort of art towards, you know, all the things that I was writing. So not only did I, you know, collect all the poetry pieces that I've written and made a poetry collection, which is a book that I've been working on actually for the past 2 years. But
shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But I also started writing lyrics. And eventually that became my first album, Zamora Avenue, which has been one of like the most rewarding experiences of my entire life, honestly.
I just wanted to add to that because the first song that we ever wrote together was the last song that we did.
that is a creative process, literally.
The first song we ever wrote together is a song called Dearly Beloved, which had a lyric, the original version that said, I'll kill your friends and family. So
yes, you really wanted to make it more dark than it needed to be.
For some reason, I was like, no, I'm not giving up on the song.
Matias convinced me.
And then I took what we had and I made a new production for it. Like, I scrapped everything.
The new production was much better.
It's still a silly, fun song.
The song, if you haven't heard the song, it's called Dearly Beloved. It's on my album Zamora Avenue.
It's very silly.
Like a very theatrical song. It's the most theater pop in my album. It's very funny. So, what about you? What is the writing process for you?
It's just very random. It's honestly very random because most of my songs come from like past things that have happened to me, but I've never like sat down and thought of writing that song. So I just like, I play guitar a lot in my room, and I just start playing guitar, or like I go through some chords, like chord progressions that I have, and something comes to my mind, and I'm like, the same thing as you said before, I'm like, oh, this sounds really cool, let me just keep going, and keep going, and keep going, and that's how I wrote most of my album. I was like, let me keep going, keep going.
About his whole album, about.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us what your album is?
It's called I'm Not Okay With You.
And what about your album?
It's called The Relation Between Unrelated Concepts, all platforms.
And you have a what version of it?
And I also have an acoustic version and a slow and reverb version because, you know, sad girls like to be in their room, and the slow and reverb, that's just the move when you're sad.
Absolutely.
That's just the move. But it's crazy having talented friends like...
Oh, and wait, if I'm all right about, if I'm correct, if I remember properly, before we went to Orlando last time, we're all part of the 100K Club?
Yes! I was like, what are you guys talking about? I'm broke. I was like, now we're talking about
figures. Actually, all of our albums have reached over 100,000 streams on Spotify, which is wild. It's so crazy. I'm like living for it. When I first was writing all the music down with you, no, actually, when we recreated Desiree, like back in like 2019, I would have never thought. Mama gagged.
Yeah.
Like completely.
I think none of us would have.
Right. It's so crazy that people can actually, you know, enjoy something that's in here
100,000 times.
And not only that, but the fact that we're locals
and independent, like it's a big feat. As an independent artist, you don't really get those types of numbers. Like, it's very hard to garner. You feel me?
Right.
Super hard to garner.
Everything we do, it comes out of our pocket, our time, and no one else.
1,000%.
Like there's no big machine after this, like behind us working. There's no people working for us It's just like what you see is what you get.
Right.
I'll tell
Like,
you
we're just
this.
shooting a music video for you, and then what you see is what you get because it was 4 people.
Like when you're an independent artist, you take on many hats. Like you're not just the singer, you're not just the writer. You're also, in my case, like I'm also the producer. Then you also do the photography parts of it. You also do the editing.
you're a
you
pro.
do the marketing. You
You're a
do
pro.
the set design. You do a lot of the graphic design. You do so much by yourself.
Camera 2, point at me real quick. I'm telling you right now, this one had an entire like PowerPoint presentation as to what the scenes should look like for her music. It was so professional. I had never, ever seen some shit. I was like, oh my god, this is great.
Thanks. But yeah, like you take on all these hats and it's like, okay, it gets overwhelming because you have so many parts you have to do. And you know, when you don't really have the budget for it, you're like, all right, well, I gotta do it myself because that way, not only do I appreciate having the creative control and like knowing exactly what I want to do, but on like a budget perspective, like I literally do not have the budget to outsource for this, so I have to learn how to do all these things myself. I learned how to use Photoshop, Illustrator. I learned how to produce all by myself because I'm like, okay, well, somebody's got to get it done. Right. And you know, I have a vision. I want to be able to execute it, so I'm going to do whatever I can to make it happen.
And you make connections with anybody who
does
the type of things here in the community.
I feel like it's worth mentioning that what people don't get about like us, like creatives in general.
Right.
It's not like if we're singers and we make music, it's not like, oh, we look pretty and we sing. We look pretty and we write songs. It's like there's so much more to being a musician and wanting to make that a career. That like you have to become a business person, you have to become marketing engine.
Right.
It's full of you're your own PR. You need to become your own lawyer for some things.
Right. The amount of emails you got to send, you got to promote your stuff, submit to playlists, submit to publications, like.
Learn the algorithms.
Oh my gosh, no, it's so much.
You become a social media expert by the end of this.
Yeah, literally, you learn all the different, like the Instagram algorithm, the TikTok algorithms. You learn how to use their platform and what ways like function best. Because Instagram stays changing. You know, you got to keep up to date with that.
And you learn budgeting.
That's the biggest.
Oh my gosh.
Where I want to go to next is the producing part of it.
Okay.
And I want to touch base on that very quickly because to produce, you have to like be on top of it and be there for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yes, hours and hours.
Yeah, your ears get so tired. You're like, okay, I'm just listening to the same like 2 chords for like 5 hours. At that point, your brain just gets like drained out. Like, oh my gosh, like I can't even get it out of my head now. I don't even have space for a new idea.
So I feel like there's a cool like different experiences here because you get someone to produce, which is me.
Exactly. So we're all different. You both produce your own stuff.
Our own stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
You produce your stuff, but you send it to get mixed and mastered.
Correct. Mixing and mastering is out of my threshold, and I'm perfectly aware of my capabilities, and I'd rather just I'll do all the production.
And I write, produce, mix, and
yeah, the whole package.
Matias, the whole package.
Right.
Which it gets so annoying at some point because like you listen to the same song over. And over.
Oh no! By the time that we sell out my song or even his songs, he's like, okay, great, I'm not listening to this ever again.
Oh, literally.
Oh, ever. Like, do not play a single song of mine.
And imagine one of the ways that artists make most of their money is by going on tours and singing their songs more times than they had already had to work to produce it. So it's like, well, I'm really bored of the song already. I've heard it 10 million times.
Also, by the time it comes out, if you do a music video before it comes out, it's the producing of the song, it's the mixing of the song, it's the mastering of the song,
it's playing the song 20,000 times
and
the music
editing of the music video.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, as much.
No, you're like dead of that. Like, that song is like rest in peace, please.
I have that issue to an extent. See, sometimes I like to listen to my own music. I'll be in the car, I'm like, yo, this kind of bangs. Like, I did that. Mm. But you, like you said, if you're mixing, you're mastering, you're producing it, you're picking out your vocals, you're doing all these things, and you're doing a music video. Like not last week, like 2 days ago, we filmed a music video for a new song of mine. And we had that song loop like 100 times, like a million, like just a million times. It was so much.
Right. I was singing it the whole.
Yeah.
That was the first time you heard it.
And that was the first time I heard it. Yeah, I was singing it for the rest of the day.
Obviously, it's not my first time hearing it, and so.
Not mine either.
Well, yeah, because Matthew mixed it, and so what ends up happening is once you release it, I'm like, no, we gotta still keep the energy up because if I like what I put out and I fully believe in it, then other people will be willing to be like, okay, well, she clearly knows what she's doing. She actually likes it. Because if you don't even promote your own stuff and genuinely feel some sort of interest in what you're doing, people are like, why should I? You know?
Oh yeah.
So I just keep going. I'm confident. I believe in my work, and I know this is a banger. I know this is a good song. I know that it has some sort of meaning and like some sort of depth. I put it out, and I gotta run through it like for another year or so, then I'm gonna keep looping it over
I
and
feel like
over.
there's this effect. I don't know if this happens to you guys, but whenever I'm about to put out a song, I'm like, I'm so tired of listening to this song. But the moment it hits midnight and the song is available everywhere, I'm like,
really? Yay! See, I'm kind of the opposite. I'll listen to my masters, like unreleased masters, in the car all the time. Be like, yeah, like sing it. And when it drops, I'm like, all right, y'all go listen to it, and I'll still promote it and like be really excited about it. But I'm not like listening to it like crazy.
I kind of want to get to the last kind of topic of today.
Alright.
The last topic is, we've discussed the kind of everything that it has to do with like selling a song or putting a song out there, which is like writing it, producing it, distributing it, copywriting it, and making sure that the song is legally yours. How is it like to work as an artist in a community where there are so many artists already out there?
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't just want to say competing because we can't really compete at that type of level, but how is it like to be an artist locally in this sense and have to be like, okay, well, maybe one day I can reach that. Do you want to reach fame? Like, what is the end? And how does it feel to work down here and see a huge career possibly towards the end of it? Do you want a big career?
Yeah, well, at least for me, fame has never particularly been the goal. I just want to be able to be heard, and obviously when you have a bigger platform, more people are able to listen to your message, and I can actually speak about things that are important. Like something that I really want to be able to do is destigmatize mental health and like mental health struggles. That's very important to me.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, that's incredibly important to me, as well as I want to be able to do scholarships and stuff like that. And so obviously when you have a bigger platform, then you're able to have more resources and more people who will be willing to listen to you, But fame in regards to like, that's that's not the goal.
Right.
I don't necessarily need to be like drowning in money either. I just want to obviously sustain myself and obviously enjoy myself. Don't get me wrong, but I don't need to have like overflowing cash like in my possession. I don't need that.
Right.
But in regards to like being here in Miami, I don't like to think of it as competing. I think that there's enough room for everybody to eat. Everyone does different things,
Exactly.
like the three of us are so incredibly different as people, as artists, like we're so different. There's no reason that I should be competing with you or you should be competing with me. We each have our own lane, and even if we are similar, why wouldn't you want to upgrade people? Why wouldn't you want everyone to succeed? There's always room for everybody.
why would you push each other down?
Right, if you're talented and you have something that's important to say and you want to make sure that you're heard, there's always going to be room for you. It's just finding, obviously, your audience, finding your people. But there's always room, So I don't really like to look at it like that. I don't know, just being in Miami, especially being so young, it's hard to find opportunities.
It's complex. For me, I like to connect with as many artists as possible.
Of course.
I would love to open a record label and bring in a bunch of artists to my own label and be like, look, let's go, let's fund you up, let's raise you up, let's make sure that your songs are heard, because there's so much talent in this city.
So much.
To the young people out there, and even not only the young people, to the people who are out there who can sing, who have a talent, who aren't sure that they can do this. Mama, if this is what you want to do, if this is like a dream that you have, I say go for it. The only thing holding me back in the day was myself. And I think actually you were a huge part in me pushing that boundary down and letting myself be an artist. You really helped me remove that boundary, the obstacle of myself in my path. Yes, you're very inspirational to that.
I do want to touch upon what you said before though, because you did mention Miami and how does it feel to be an independent and solo artist in this city in particular. And this city is very divisive. This city is extremely talented, but the people here are super divisive. So if you don't fit into the niche of indie rock or reggaeton,
that's true.
There's barely an audience for you, and people here are what you said. They're very competitive. Everyone's extremely competitive. When you try to be nice to them, you don't really know their intentions, and everyone's trying to rise up to fame here. I think in every major city, honestly, I think it's here in New York, LA, wherever you go, there's people trying to rise up to fame. I don't care about fame. You know about this. Right. It's what Luna said. Is that I want to be heard and I want to make a living out of this. So because of that, fame or being known will come along with that.
Right, it's like a symptom.
It's a cause and effect. Like
Side effect. There you go.
It's a side effect.
Yeah.
Because like to be in order for me to like buy a house, live off of it, and like have a life that I can live in.
People need to know who you are.
People need to know who I am.
Because
I don't live off of ghosts to listen to my music. Like
the bots are listening.
Spotify, we're not using bots.
Literally though, for real. It's crazy though. Like, for example, I reached out to a few artists who didn't even, reach back because I was hoping to have more people here today, for example. But y'all were very, receptive to this idea. It was
a group chat.
Yeah, we have a group chat. It's very cute. It's called Something Lucky. This way it comes because I'm somewhat of a nerd, I guess.
Somewhat.
I really thought that I wanted to like reach out and explode into fame, but now that I've been taking care of myself and going through my own self journey, it's been so much more rewarding to put out my music, to be real, and to just be myself, and to stay down here. The trans people is a people that I'm very passionate about because they're my people, and I want to put out more music in the future that's inclusive, that's that people can relate to more often.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because growing up, there was so many artists' music that I was like, oh, I feel so fish, I feel so femme, I'm living my best fantasy.
Yeah.
And now I get to be that person for somebody else.
That's exactly what it is. That's the piece.
Exactly. That's the link. That's the link. But I feel like this has been a super productive conversation.
1,000%.
Like it's been really rewarding to sit down and I just put up all this information. It's like we've talked about this as artists before, but I don't think we've ever like gotten into the nitty-gritty like we have today.
Yeah.
So I really want to thank both of you for coming. Cool. It's been so cool to have a little moment.
Thank you for having us.
I definitely owe you sushi.
Two sides, two different people. I'm like, thank you for having me. I feel like you owe me food. Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. Honestly, this has been super cool. I want to also thank Chris Padron for putting this whole production together.
Daddy.
Two different people.
So a big thank you to Chris for putting up this whole entire production. I want to thank Matias Poro for being here. Thank you, Luna Scar, for being here. You can listen to the respective albums on all streaming platforms, and you can listen to my album, Zamora Avenue, on all streaming platforms currently. I also have 2 new singles this year, High and Magic Rainbow Red. They both came out in June, and I have another collaboration with Matias coming out in August. So stay tuned. The song is called On My Own. This is coming out on the 19th.
Okay.
The song is called On My Own. Sorry, as artists, we're like, oh my god. Are we saying it yet? Are we promoting it yet? Yes. The song is called On My Own. We're going to be releasing it very soon.
This is the artwork.
Right, this is the artwork, right.
Y'all are so weird.
Stay tuned because on August 6th, we're going to be rocking your radios again. It's going to be great. I want to thank Unity Coalition. Please stay tuned. Every Thursday, we are here to rock your world, 7 to 7:30. Unity Coalition TV is where it's at. My name is Imperium the First. My name is also Regina, and it's been really nice hosting UCTV today. Thank you.
Sé lo que quieras ser, ve a donde quieras ir, di lo que quieras decir, que yo también lo haré. Vive cada momento, cada instante con sentimiento, libérate de una vez y con tus alas ve a volar por el viento. Así soy yo y así seguiré, con mis defectos y virtudes. Por mi camino ven y sígueme. La vida es para divertirse, vívela y no la desperdicies. mejor. Vive la vida como tú digas y muy feliz irás.
Por todos los derechos para todas las personas. Por una Cuba inclusiva, diversa, llena de colores.
Es mi vida, es tu vida, y mi vida la vivo como quiero yo. Oh, como quiero yo.
Es mi vida. Por el amor, por el respeto.
Es mi vida.
Por la paz, es mi vida.
Es mi vida. La vivo como quiero yo.